Thank you. I'd like to start with the Deputy Mayor, please. Deputy Mayor, the Mayor's manifesto pledge, and I'll read it to you so you're absolutely sure of it. I'll continue to ensure the Met is able to effectively respond to public, including maintaining a 24-hour police front office counter in every borough. The new Met for London said, Londoners will be able to more easily contact us, whether by phone, digitally or face-to-face. Each borough will have at least one 24/7 front counter. Now, that's what the Police and Crime Commissioner, our Mayor, said. You're the Deputy Mayor. What do you have to say to that?
I think the Police and Crime Plan rightly talks about the importance of access to Londoners, and I think, as Mark has given in detail, in the context of seriously constrained budgets, which have developed over a decade of underfunding of the police, we know it's been a theme of the committee time and time again that in that context that there has to be prioritisation, and that prioritisation, I strongly believe, should be going to neighbourhood policing.
Yes.
And I welcome the fact that the Met has looked at the issues of front counter in great detail, has engaged with particularly groups like we've spoken about in this committee, who are.
Let's try and keep to what I've actually asked you. You're moving away from the subject. The Mayor, and you talk about the last decade, he has been the Mayor now for 9 years. He does have a £21 billion budget per year. His most important thing is to keep Londoners safe. The only reason the Commissioner is having to do this is because he's got a £260 million black hole, and I know Labour love talking about black holes. Well, that's that he's having to deal with. The Mayor, only a couple of years ago, less than that, was saying that we would have a 24-hour police front office counter in every borough. Why was he saying that? He must have known there was no way that he could actually commit to that.
The Mayor has, throughout his term, increased the amount of money that goes into policing. 25% of the Mayor's, of the police's budget now comes directly from the mayoral budget. We recognise that after decades of austerity and underfunding from previous governments, that the government itself came into a budget that was a lot worse than they initially thought,
the Mayor has
which has meant that the funding...
for 9 years. 9 years he's been in charge. He spends money frivolously on everything else. You could actually say to him, as the Deputy Mayor for Policing and Crime, we need more money in the police. You only have to listen to the Commissioner saying that we're losing officers in intelligence, in forensics, in firearms, in the Royal Parks. Schools officers are going. We are losing all of those. The Commissioner is saying that it's a reduced size business, if you like. We can't afford to have a reduced size police service. We have got increasing numbers all the time, and I will say it to the Commissioner. I was at a Safer Neighbourhood team meeting last night, and the residents there were all saying people just don't report crime anymore, and it's going to be even more difficult for them because of the front counters. So have you actually asked the Mayor to put more of his money, he's part of his £21 billion budget, have you asked him to put yet more money into the police service?
Every year the Mayor prioritises the police within his budget. That's why the funding has increased to the police's budget of 25 to counter some of the previous government's cuts. Equally, the Mayor has lobbied alongside myself very hard to the Home Office to do all that they can to increase the funding to government, and will continue to do that. That's why we saw record investment in police funding last year. That's why, on top of the money we originally got, we got an additional 32 million, which we strongly directed not only into neighbourhood policing but into public protection and a continued reformation on standards and culture.
Yes, don't let's forget that some of the additional money was to pay for the increase in national insurance contributions that the Labour government put in. So are you quite comfortable then that within less than 2 years that the Mayor promises 24-hour police front office counters in every borough, are you quite relaxed then that this has been gone back on? Because it's not long ago he promised this. You're quite relaxed, are you, that he makes promises that he clearly knew he couldn't keep?
The Mayor has prioritised neighbourhood policing. That's why when the additional money came in, he made sure that additional 935 frontline officers were ring-fenced from the savings. He prioritises making sure that Londoners have the neighbourhood policing that they have long cried for, and that is increasing access to policing. The issue of front counters is definitely a difficult one, but it's a difficult one made in constrained finances. I welcome the conversations that we have had here, the conversations that have directly happened between the police and stakeholders, especially those with protected characteristics, has led to an increase on the ability to have access to front counters across London. It's not ideal. It's a tough choice. We're trying to balance a difficult budget.
3,300 officers we're losing. Do you reckon that won't make any difference at all?
I think, obviously, the less officers mean difficult choices, but as you've heard directly from the Commissioner, it's about prioritisation and making sure that we have the most effective police force possible, and that police force is working on things that matter to Londoners. We've heard the really important statistics on homicide, burglary, public protection, phone theft and robbery.
Yeah,
it's going in the right direction, and that's why we're working so hard.
And we're also hearing that we're losing intelligence officers, firearms officers, forensic officers, Royal Parks officers, school officers. We're listening to all of that. Well, you're obviously comfortable with the fact that the Mayor has made promises and he's not prepared to put his hand in his pocket to bail the police out, the Metropolitan Police out. Shame on him. Our Metropolitan Police are so important to all of us to keep us safe. I'll move on to